possible discharging firearms or shooting, not sure which. Just Centel at Dallas. Caller heard gunshots and people screaming.
Don't play like that, bro. Hey, let go. I ain't finna sit there.
28-year-old rapper Takeoff is shot and killed at a private party in Houston, Texas.
There were 40 people at least at this event. People left possibly out of fear.
Why? Why do we do this? Why do we do this? Why do we fucking do it? I swear to God, this shit ain't nothing I've done right.
I want to pray for, ask that we all pray for his mother, his family, and all of his friends who are in deep pain and shock still right now.
Checked it on here, I checked again. I can't pronounce someone dead, but I think he was deceased, probably. Assumption.
While scrolling through social media during the late hours of Halloween night, I was met with a TMZ title confirming that Takeoff from the Migos rap group tragically died during a shooting in Houston. This was a shock that took me by surprise, and a lot of my mutual friends have shared the same sentiment as Takeoff died too young. Many celebrities have shared their grievances about his death, and this hit hard for his family members, especially Quavo and Offset, the trio members of Migos. They were both full of regret for what had happened that night. Especially Quavo, who was there at the bowling alley where it all happened. So what went down during that night, you may be asking? There has been a lot of conspiracy theories and misinformation that has gone around. I wanted to know what has gone down, and here's what I found out after researching this topic extensively. So, as mentioned, this death happened at 810 Billiards and Bowling, which is a bowling alley in Houston, Texas. This all went down at a private party on November 1st. Quavo and Takeoff were shooting dice at around 1 a.m., and things went south real quick. Tension rose at the bowling alley, and an altercation occurred while Takeoff and Quavo were near the dice table where the altercation took place, and individuals started to draw out guns, and multiple shots were fired in the building. People were reasonably startled by the incident, and people started freaking out. Then, a caller made a call to 911 around 2:30 a.m. about said shooting. During this time, after the dust settled, 3 people caught a stray bullet each. A 23-year-old man and a 24-year-old woman were hit, but their condition was unknown as they drove themselves to the hospital. They got off easy as their wounds weren't life-threatening, albeit their condition is unknown, but they are alive. The third person that was shot was Takeoff. He wasn't so lucky as he was shot on the head and in the torso. Quavo and a few people were trying to help Takeoff while the paramedics were on their way. There is a video out there that was posted by TMZ, but I don't want to show it out of respect for Takeoff, but the video does show him lying on the ground, bleeding. First responders made it to the scene and tried to save his life, but almost 2 hours after the shooting, the paramedics had tried everything in order to save Takeoff, but he passed away at 4 a.m. The police made a statement on social media about the shooting and said that one victim was found deceased. People were unaware that said victim was Takeoff. An hour later, the news spread about Takeoff's passing, and various witnesses reported what happened at the scene. The news was out that rapper Takeoff passed away in a fatal shooting. Law enforcement hadn't released any details, but the news was out, and then they confirmed everyone's worst fear. The rapper Takeoff, whose real name is Kirsnick Kari Ball, died at the age of 28. This marked a sad day for the rap community as he was respected and well-liked for his musical talent. People online gave their condolences to him and his family as it was a terrible loss as he was a young man who died too soon. Around 4 p.m., there was a press conference held by the police department. They gave out various details in regards as to what happened earlier that morning. Officers stated that there were 2 firearms involved in the shooting, and the suspects were guests at the private party that Takeoff and Quavo hosted. The suspect wasn't revealed, and no arrests had been made, at least at the time. The shooting seems to have been caused because there was a disagreement between the group of people, and then two shooters just decided to discharge the weapon for whatever reason. Sadly, 3 people caught a stray bullet, with one of them being fatally wounded. After the shots were fired, a lot of people had fled without giving any witness statements. Some people stayed to give a statement, and police asked people to give statements or any evidence that could help law enforcement. Evidence slowly started coming in, and the police were able to find out that there were 2 guns that were fired during this confrontation, and multiple shots were fired. The day after, on November 2nd, medical examiners concluded that Takeoff's death was a result of homicide. His death was ruled as an act of senseless violence. Takeoff wasn't supposed to die that night, yet he did, and that is just the sad reality of the situation. People were obviously pretty saddened because senseless violence has taken the life of many rappers, and Takeoff is the next big case. He will be forever missed by everyone around, and it is insane to think that this would have happened to him. This death affected his family, close ones, and many fans. Quavo blames himself for the incident as he was there. The hip-hop community took a huge blow, and his death occurred after the death of B&B Rock, which happened almost 2 months prior on September 12th. This isn't uncommon in the rap community because various rappers have passed away due to gun violence, from legends like Tupac, Biggie, as well as rising stars like XXXTentacion, King Von, and Pop Smoke, who died young. Takeoff is sadly another victim, and people have said that this violence needs to stop, as it has taken a lot of lives of rising stars and legends. Before long, people wanted answers. They wanted to know who was the one responsible for the death of Takeoff, and speculation ran wild as people were making a lot of false accusations and making outlandish claims. So right off the bat, Takeoff's own family is off the list, as it seems quite fucked up to think that they could possibly do anything to their own blood. The close-knit bond Takeoff had with his rap crew was pretty strong, so I highly doubt Quavo or Offset were capable of it. But people won't seem to budge when it comes to making a lot of crazy claims. The evidence that was sent to TMZ showed 2 potential suspects who had a weapon during the night of the party. As well as an arrest, people were also quick to speculate that one of Takeoff's guys had shot Takeoff. Part of why people were speculating this was because these 3 suspects were people of interest for the police, so people started looking into how each one could have been responsible. The 3 potential suspects for the murder of Takeoff are Lil Cam, Patrick Xavier Clark, and Migo Bands. These 3 men have reasonable cases for them being the suspect. Let's start with the black suspect caught on surveillance footage, which was later revealed to be Lil Cam. Evidence suggesting Joshua Cameron, who is known as Lil Cam V, appears in a video where he was in a yellow hoodie and he had a weapon on him, but whether he shot or not was not clear, as the person with the camera fled the scene, but he was later arrested for gun charges. He was in possession of a firearm, which was in a direct violation of his probation order. Lil Cam had a previous felony charge, which was the reason as to why he was on probation and was released on bail. Lil Cam was a part of Mob Ty's record, which is owned by J Prince Jr. There is already speculation, but people thought Lil Cam and J Prince set up Takeoff, and this ended with Takeoff fatally wounded. This theory has very little merit, as the only thing that Cam was truly responsible for was being in possession of a firearm when he wasn't supposed to be, which complicated the situation drastically, as he was also at the party. His lawyers were advocating for his innocence because it seems like Cam was at the wrong place at the wrong time and was being held responsible for a crime he likely didn't commit.
Can you dispel some of those rumors or some of the statements we've seen on the reliable Worldwide Web?
Sure. I haven't seen anything to suggest that Cameron Joshua had anything to do with the shooting, that he discharged a firearm that caused his death or was even involved in it. My understanding is there was some type of skirmish. From what I've seen from the internet, and I'm familiar with all the Instagram sleuths, they remind me of the blind guy who tries to figure out an elephant and grabs his trunk and thinks it's a snake. The bottom line is they're wrong.
Police only charged him with gun possession charges, but nothing else. His case was being linked to the murder, and that is why he was considered a potential suspect. More rumors started to come out, saying that Cam was trying to snatch Takeoff's chain and was the reason why he shot him. There are quite a few holes, as people noted the coincidence to frame him as a suspect. He might have done something that night, but one thing he didn't do was kill Takeoff. Police have been investigating and concluded that not killing Takeoff was becoming more likely. Another rumor that was started was that Little Cam was dead, as he was killed out in the streets, presumably in retaliation for the death of Takeoff. That is an unfounded theory, as Cam was present during his hearing after the claims were made, so that is a blatant lie. Another false thing I found was a video in which people found on his social media where he was talking shit and people thought that he was responsible for the murder. People were speculating about mere coincidences, which always happens, but in this case, a lot of YouTubers tried to milk the situation and didn't contribute to solving the case. Migo Bands was the next suspect, as people thought that he might have been responsible for the shooting. The reason as to why he was thought to be responsible was a case of friendly fire where the shooter took some shots and Migo Bands took out his own gun and fired back. People believe that this could have been an accident. This comes from the video where someone recorded a potential suspect drawing a gun, this person presumably being Migo Bands. This case was very cut and dry. People thought that it was Migo Bands because he was another person who was with Quavo and Takeoff. But things aren't as easy because Migo Bands was under heavy scrutiny because people weren't convinced he was responsible. Migo, in response, kept his social media private and hasn't really said or done much, as people were conflicted as it seemed plausible. People were not easily convinced and things were not going too well and people wanted answers, so Migo Bands and Little Cam were the two people who were being accused of anything, as they were the first two suspects the media was aware of, and it caused a lot of people to speculate. The one that rubs me the wrong way is the one where they blame Quavo for the death of Takeoff and Migo Bands was the one that carried it out. This one just annoys me, as Quavo was very close to Takeoff, not just as a family, but their whole brand was built on how close they were in both business and in private life. But people were quick to point out some random details from previous appearances from the Migos and twist it to fit their own narrative. Quavo and Migo Bands weren't the ones responsible for the death, as police found another suspect who seemed to fit the bill for the murder of Takeoff. Patrick Xavier Clark is the final suspect. There was a substantial amount of evidence linking him to be the main suspect out of the three men in the murder of Takeoff. Patrick Xavier Clark had been seen near the crime and his fingerprints were found on the bottle of wine that had been left behind. This information was verified by surveillance video showing Clark holding a wine bottle in one hand when he fired his gun around the crime scene. In addition to that, according to court documents after Takeoff was killed, Clark applied for an expedited passport by submitting a travel itinerary for an upcoming flight to Mexico. This evidence indicated that Clark had some level of involvement in the murder, and so he was subsequently arrested and charged with homicide. After the arrest, prosecutors argued that Clark was a flight risk and his bond was set at $2 million. As of this recording, Clark is making an attempt to reduce his bond, as he claims he does not have the financial assets to cover the bond. Thank you for watching the video, and if you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a like, and if you're new, subscribe to the channel.
We gon' bust, send me in the trap house while I'm whipping. I'm fucking on the thought and the kidney. Nigga, this my city. Come take a ride.